Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Indie Author Sharing Hub, where I bring you information on books by independent authors so that you don't have to dig through the vast worlds of the internet to find your next read. This week I've picked 3 amazing books for you, and 2 of them very apt for this time of year. The first book I have for you today is Lost Mind's Wandering Soul by George Adamczyk. Now, this is a horror fantasy book, and it's for anyone who likes scary stories. There's no swearing in them, but apparently there is a little bit of blood. Have you ever felt like you were teetering on the very brink of insanity? Have you ever had a dream that felt so intense that you thought it was actually real? Here are 4 short stories that take you to the fringes of reality. So I'm going to give you the first few lines of the first short story called Nap Demon. Jason woke up in the shower. At least it felt that way. It was as if his mind suddenly flashed on from out of some hypnotic trance or drunken blackout. He somehow just found himself standing in the tub, his face pointing downwards, eyes shut tight. No memory of how he got there, not even what day it was. His soapy fingers were entwined in his hair, still immersed in shampoo, so he couldn't open them to get his bearings. Snapping into consciousness like this freaked him out, and he felt kind of shaky and paranoid. What the hell just happened? I am an absolute lover of scary stories, and what a great time of year to download something like this. You can get this book on Kindle for $2.99, or the paperback is only $4.99, an absolute bargain. George, thank you so much for your submission. Best of luck with sales on this book, and it's just the perfect time to be reading these before Halloween. The second book I have for you today is by Richard Street, and it's called The Virtual Entity. If you're looking for a riveting paranormal novel with malevolent ghosts jumping out of every page, then The Virtual Entity by prolific writer Richard Street is for you. For David and Danielle, moving to the quaint town of Bakewell, United Kingdom, is the fresh start they've always wanted. The countryside seems like the perfect place to break free from the hustle and bustle of the city. Quaint shops and pubs with unbeatable offerings line the streets. Locals live a simple, carefree life. For the young couple, Bakewell is a dream come true. They bought an old Victorian home for a steal, and they have enough money to make it their own. Finally, they have a place they can call home and raise a family in. Little do they know that this new, seemingly perfect country life will be short-lived. Their Bakewell home would soon be filled with malevolent secrets waiting to be discovered. It starts with mysterious shufflings coming from different parts of their new home. Slowly but surely, the horrors of the house contained are coming to light. A spiteful entity lurks in the shadows, and David and Danielle are in for one rude awakening. Will they survive the terrors that await them? Find out yourself in The Virtual Entity. Throughout this titillating story, you will immerse yourself in a paranormal thriller that will leave you gasping for breath and wanting more. Live out the horrors that our protagonists experience as you flip from one page to another, and lose yourself in Richard Street's masterful storytelling and drive your imagination into overdrive, and so much more. The Virtual Entity is a horror story like no other. With massive twists and turns, every reader would surely find their hunger for the paranormal satisfied. Such a great time for paranormal and haunting stories. I'm going to give you the first couple of lines as well. Our story begins in the small town of Bakewell, United Kingdom. In the centre of the town lies a lonesome terraced house, soon to be bought by a young couple. When moving into their new home in the countryside, little did the couple know of the horrors that awaited them. For David and Danielle, this was to be a new start, a break from the hustle and bustle of the city life, a place where they could reconnect and start a new family together. The young couple arrived at the small town of Bakewell early one autumn morning, ready for the new start that they had both been craving for the last few months. The couple had just pulled off the M1 sign Sheffield. The time was 6 a.m. and the roads were exceptionally eerie, with only a few cars either going to or returning from work on the 21st of October. Approaching the town of Bakewell, they could see it was very picturesque and was rightfully so famed for its beautiful landscapes. Danielle had already pointed out the strange fact that no one seemed to be going towards the town that contained their future home. The wildlife that could be seen in the country was a shock compared to the hundreds of bikes, buses and commuters that we usually witness in the crowded streets of the city that the pair were used to. The narrow roads heading into the town were tricky for David to drive around, as he struggled to keep his eyes off the beautiful scenery enveloping the landscape. He drove on, adoring the quaint shops and country bars, which he made sure to point out to his girlfriend. Never did the couple think they would be moving to such a timid and secluded place. Oh, I love Halloween. I'm absolutely all for spooky stories, and I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. If you want to get this one, you can actually get this one for free on Kindle Unlimited at the second, if you have that. However, if you don't, it's only $1.99 to buy, and the paperback is £6.99. Thank you very much, Richard, for that submission. Best of luck, and again, it's just the perfect time of year for these scary stories. I absolutely love them. The third book I have for you today is entirely different. This one is called Chickens Eat Pasta, Escape to Umbria by Clare Pedrick. The genre is a memoir, romance, travel novel. It's non-fiction, but actually reads like a novel. And the target audience is for anyone who just enjoys travel, a good story, or romance, or people who love Italy. You can also get this one as an audiobook, read by actress-artist Colleen McMahon, a school friend of the author, and also the designer of the cover of her book. Chickens Eat Pasta is the tale of how a young Englishwoman starts a new life after watching a video showing a chicken eating spaghetti in a medieval hill village in central Italy. I am always being asked how I ended up living in Italy and what brought me here in the first place. Most people assume it must have been a man, but actually it was a love affair with a house, which led to a love affair with a man. Clare Pedrick was just 26 years old when she decided to buy a beautiful old ruin in Umbria, on a whim after spotting a newspaper advert one rainy Sunday morning. She was entirely alone when she embarked on her adventure, which eventually led to a love affair with a man who is now her husband. Unlike some other recent bestsellers, this is not simply an account of a foreigner's move to Italy, but a love story written from the unusual perspective of both within and outside the story. As events unfold, the strong storyline carries with it a rich portrayal of Italian life from the inside, with a supporting cast of memorable characters. Along the way, the book explores and captures the warmth and colour of Italy, as well as some of the cultural differences between England and Italy, but also between regional Italian lifestyles and behaviour. It is a story with a happy ending. The author and her husband are still married with 3 children who love the old house on the hill, now much restored, almost as much as she does. I'm going to give you the first few lines of this one as well. Chapter 1. The dripping was becoming louder, settling into a relentless rhythm. It had started as a barely audible whisper in the treetops outside the kitchen window, flung open to let the newly washed floor dry. The drops fell more heavily now, thudding overhead on the terracotta roof tiles. A small puddle had formed quickly on the dark red floor, spreading from one rectangle to another as the wind drove the rain in through the open space. The window banged shut abruptly and blew open again violently as the summer storm ripped through the mountains. I let go of my grip on the mop to secure the fragile window frame with its ancient wooden latch. Now I'd have to start all over again. There wasn't much time. Angela and Orcolino would be here soon to drive me to the station. Suddenly the tears that had been welling up deep inside me all morning brimmed over and began coursing down my cheeks. I crouched down on the still wet floor. How could it all have gone so wrong? It was strange, really, how rain could make such a difference. Outside, the thick white mist was rising rapidly, shrouding the tree-lined mountain and swiftly wiping out the almost cloudless sky that had cast shafts of light through the window just a few minutes earlier. Of course, it had been raining that day this whole business had started. That was fairly normal for November in England, but this time it had poured ceaselessly for days on end, casting me further and further into a trough of despair and loneliness. Until I saw the advertisement, as I thumbed through the soggy pages of the hefty newspaper that I had bought to while away yet another miserable Sunday morning on my own. That had changed everything. Or so it had seemed. But then maybe I had been asking for trouble. There were plenty of people who were sure it could only end badly. As my sensible Aunt Vi had said when I told her what I'd done, how can you buy a house just because you've watched a video? Now that actually sounds so much fun. Myself, I actually have a bit of Italian heritage in me, so this book stood out to me. If you want to get this book, you can get this on Amazon for $9.99, or Troubadour $9.99 less a 10% discount. If you want the ebook, it's only $4.99 for what sounds like a fantastic read. Thank you so much, Claire, for submitting your book. And thank you to every single one of you authors who have submitted your books so far and who have been so willing to let me read these extracts to the listeners. It's so much fun doing these videos, and I really hope we can make a difference and get more people to see our books. My own book, Discordia from the Ground Up, is also available on Amazon at the second. The links for all of these books, including my own, are in the description below. So click on the links below to buy these books. Make sure you get yourself a scary story for Halloween and then a nice travel memoir to calm your nerves afterwards. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you found a read suitable for you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Happy reading! Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to join Pedrick. And this is a Slowly but surely, the horrors of... Surely. Don't call me Shirley. Sorry. I'm going to give you a very... I actually have some fantastic books. I've had some absolutely fantastic submissions that I've perked? That's not a word! Book lovers, and welcome to episode 4 of the Indie Author Sharing Hub, where I bring you books by self-published authors. Come on, you do this every week. Every week you mess this up, stupid woman. Hello book lovers, and welcome back to another episode of the Indie Author Sharing Hub, where I bring you information on the books. Can't even get started today. Pretty much shows how this day is going to go, doesn't it? Bloody hell.